Hey friends, I hope you're doing really well. And I wanted to hop on for a quick live because I just wanted to say thank you for all of those of you who took the time to talk to us as a community about what are some of your barriers to getting food on the grocery list or meal ideas on the list, to get them from the store to your house, from the house to being made available to eat, and then to actually eating them. And so I've got about 6 here, maybe more, comments for some people. So I want to take the time to actually kind of talk those out with you all. So thank you for doing that. I'm not going to name names here, but I'm sure those of you who took the time to write these out, you're going to know I'm talking about you once you see them. And yeah, just really appreciate you. I know this is not inclusive to everybody's situation. I'm probably going to miss some nuances because I'm not talking directly to you, but I'm going to do the best I can to help you out. So the first one here says, when, in terms of planning, cooking, planning, shopping, cooking, eating, what are some things that make it hard? And, let's just keep it really practical and what's up here. Some things are about the eating disorder, and then some things are legit, like capacity issues, chronic illness, not knowing how to prioritize time. I mean, there's a lot of factors, which is why we do so much individualized care for people, because it's not just one thing. It's usually multiple things that make it hard to be consistent. All right. This first one says, planning your own energy levels and getting the needed quantities of foods. I end up buying too much of X and not enough of Y. All right. So when I hear this, I hear two things: is needing to do that first step process, which is to really assess, how am I doing? And let's say this person has some chronic illnesses. So, and sometimes those ebb and flow with our energy and how much energy it's taken just to do the other things. So it's really important that you take that time to sit down and yield, feet seated back, to assess, how am I doing this week? How have I been doing? Is this pattern familiar, or is this brand new stuff? And then as I'm sitting here checking in, do I expect this kind of lull in energy to continue? Is this pretty familiar given the time of year it is, or what other task I've got going on? You really got to dig deep. Pen and paper, so valuable to write this out. How am I doing and what's happening that are impacting my energy levels? How come it makes sense? And then what skills do I have to help me with that, or am I missing some skills? Okay, that's part one. The other part says I end up buying too much and not enough. Again, that's being impacted by the probably energy and the lack of yield to really slow down. And remember, yield is in your window of tolerance, and it's not the same thing as I'm checked out and why bother. Yield means I could be tired or whatever, but I feel okay. I'm in flow. I'm okay. And I can assess going inside, what do I need? How do I get it? How do I take it in and keep it? All right. And oftentimes what we're doing here is we're not really assessing how many meals a day am I eating? What kind of foods am I liking? How much typically does it take to help me be satisfied, let alone the other people in my house? So as you can see here, it takes a lot of being really mindful about how we're doing, and also slowing down, emotion regulation, and some organization in the thinking process. And you have to go, honestly, each day at a time, ahead of time, and kind of do some musical chairs. So it does take a lot of practice. These are real skills. So I hope whoever this is for, you got that. And again, if you need help hashing that out, we spend lots and lots of hours doing that with people. If that's feeling I just don't know if I have the ability to stay present and do that at the same time. So reach out, please. The next person says their significant other has dietary restrictions that make it hard. So I'm not sure how the restrictions make it hard. I'm going to make some guesses though, because it's not explicit in this post. I mean, oftentimes when you have a certain kind of eating preference and style and someone else has different eating needs or preferences or styles, there has to be this kind of talking it through about how does everybody get their needs met. So it could be a communication issue. You need to sit down. What kind of restrictions are there? And who says they can't blend with the other foods that other people need and like? We need to find out more details about that. How true is it? And sometimes it's not that things can't meld together. It's just that sometimes things, you're having to learn some new recipes and new skills. And maybe you're not sure where to find those things, or just need practice with somebody who can do it quickly and efficiently to teach you how to do it. I'm not for sure if that's what the case is, but step one, go back and listen to all this. Step two, I'm curious about if the barrier is you feel like you have to make two separate meals, and maybe you really don't. Maybe it has more to do with, I'm not sure how to utilize these supportive dietary needs into what the rest of the people in the house might like. So that's your homework for the person who made that comment. Okay, and then if you want to come back and say more about it, please do. If you want to reach out, you can too. The next person said, planning, shopping, cooking while constantly shutting down or challenging disordered thoughts and ways of doing things. Also taking too long to do every part of it because of wanting to do it just right, or finding the best deal because of some financial maybe insecurity there. It's hard to find the mental capacity for all of it. I totally hear that. That is a lot to have to juggle. And again, I would recommend that this all be written out. Like literally, let's map all this out. If I'm looking at this, if I was sitting with you, I would say, okay, we can get to the money part maybe second. The first thing that's really hijacking you are the disordered thoughts. Disordered thoughts equal to the perfectionism with the eating. So we need to unpack that, because that is probably driving a lot of the overwhelm and then shut down to make then the decisions that you might need to make financially to get enough food in. So that would be my suggestion first, is to look at the food rules and really start to unpack what is the function of getting food just right, and what is just right. What does just right mean, look like? How does that feel protective, and then how is that being actually destructive? And map out some of these things, and we got to titrate all that down enough to where then it's a little easier to shop from a budget perspective. All right, so that's where I would start. I hope that's helpful. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the other ones that were asked about. Let me pull those up. All right, let's see. All right, so another person just talked about scheduling. Our schedules are busy. I try to plan for a week, but then I always have the many ideas that I like or need. And by a certain point in the week, I start to feel pretty restricted because, again, there's not enough food in the house, there's not enough planning, all that kind of stuff. And this person said they're working on it. But once they have a plan, the shopping and prep is easy. So that's really great that you're recognizing that I know how to go out into the world and get what I need. I know how to manipulate the food to get it where I need to go. But this person really needs to focus on the yield. Again, take the time to slow down, whether it's watching TV with your family, or if you're on your own sometime when you're already doing something passive anyway, take some time to think about, what have I been liking? How many days in a row do I like to eat that? I'm noticing I like these kind of foods, but this one's kind of a high to medium skill level, time level. And I don't know if I have the space or the capacity for 3 of those kind of recipes, but maybe I have 1 a week. So we really got to figure out, if time is limited, one, I know this is hard. I know these processes are adulting and they're hard, and they take commitment. It doesn't mean that people can't get there. I know we all have our limiting ability based on our wellness level, our skill level, all those kind of things. I know all these things take time, and it's okay to some weeks are going to be a lot more convenience food just because we need to get fed. And the more satisfaction we can even get with our convenience food, the less likely it is we're going to have deprivation driven eating. So that's really, really important. Okay. So it's really kind of wrapping your mind around things are busy and this is also really important. So where can I commit to an hour? Do I need to do it with somebody like us? Do I need to get a buddy where we're going to sit on the Zoom today or on the phone? We're going to crank this out and we're not going to leave until we get it done. Because if that is the hardest part for you, that's where you might need some of the support, the body doubling, whatever it is you need. So that's what I suggest is have a designated, it can be flexible, but a designated day. I personally have plan A and plan B for grocery shopping. You know, it's either Monday or Thursday, depending on the things that happen on the other Mondays or Thursdays. It might, take precedent, but yeah, I mean, and then if that means if groceries need to be picked up on a Monday or shop for a Monday, that means that my list has to be in, by Sunday. If I'm doing Thursdays, that means Wednesday, and not waiting till the last second to not impulse buy as much either. So the best I can. And also knowing that, like, I know my max is cooking 4 times a week. So I've got to fill in the gaps with when I do cook, it makes lots of leftovers that we're actually going to want to eat, or I know how to repurpose those foods. And there's also going to be probably one day out a week eating, maybe not. And, not forgetting also to buy like snacks and sides and things like that, as well as, some freezer meals, that kind of stuff. We need to have backup plans. So I hope this is helpful to this person. Okay. Another person talked about cooking and shopping for one, so you get stuck eating the same meal. All right. That's where I would recommend that maybe if you there are websites out there that will pare down your recipe. So if you have recipes that you like, this is going to be my tip, but if you have recipes that call for 4, but you only want to eat this twice, plug in your recipe into those things, or just do the math, and half the recipe if you need to. Half the recipe if you need to. And the other alternative is to, again, still do that, but instead of cooking multiple days a week to get your leftovers, or to get more, diversity in your food, I often pick one day a week where I'm making more than one meal because I've already got the oven on, the burner's already on. I might as well do 2 or 3 things. I know that might sound a little intimidating, but most of these things are going to be pretty easy things, like you're baking off vegetables and potatoes and bacon and stuff all in the oven that you're not even eating that day, but they're for other breakfast, lunch, and dinners, depending on how you want to multi-purpose those things. And honestly, if I have my oven on, there's all the racks are usually covered because I want to get the most out of that time I'm using, and the rest of the week I don't have to cook as much, or I've got good lunch leftovers and more diversity in the fridge. So I hope this helps this person too. And then lastly, one more set of comments here. Pull that up. Here we go. Making sure I didn't do this one already. We'll check. Oh, I already did that one. My mistake. Try that again. I think it's this one. All right. Well, maybe I got them all. Okay, one last one here. So a person talked about, again, finances, and this is the last one here. There's lack of money to buy the foods that this person said should, so when people say should, there's some diet culture still in there. I encourage this person to continue to learn about what to actually benefit your health. It's more important to be additive versus like think of food in black and white, all or nothing. The legalism is in this post here around trying to get it right versus like the big picture and doing the best you can with what you have. So that's step 1. It's going to be threat response will shut down your creativity. All right. So this is where I would start with someone that's in this position, is like, we need to work on this diet mentality stuff because it will crush your creativity to be able to be supportive with maybe a less than ideal diversity of food. All right. Okay, so this person is kind of using more of the resources for other people in their house. So food is a lot of an issue. So I would encourage, again, step one is keep on working on dismantling probably some of the fat prejudice and fat phobia, the health anxiety stuff, the diet culture stuff. And two, there's a cookbook. I can't remember her first name. Her last name's Brown. It's called Good and Cheap. I'm exploring that one now just to see if there's some cool, maybe beneficial stuff in there. The USDA has a website that has lower cost food and recipes and stuff like that as well. So there's a couple resources you could check out there. If this person wanted to email me, it's tracybrownrd@gmail.com. You could reach out and I could add you to this free little thing we have. Now, it was made 5 years ago, so it's probably dated in terms of pricing, but maybe get you on the right track of how to put together some lower cost food that's simple, has more diversity to it. Yeah, I would encourage that if that's something you want to do. All right, well, I want to thank all the people who took the time to write comments about the question I asked on Monday. I probably have answered a lot of people's questions in yesterday's video about executive functioning skills to complete all these processes. That's really important to us in the work we do is, one, we have to get more regulation on board in all the steps. You have to dismantle any legalism around food and bodies to get your mind to be able to have some creativity about your eating and cooking and to see what's possible. And then lastly, yeah, it just takes some good old fashioned, let's sit down and map it out. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. And this is, we're happy to help if you need that. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. It's a little bonus for this week. And I hope you take really good care. Bye for now.